Sunday, time to kick back and take a look at the leisure options in our life as opposed to the things that we sort of tend to concentrate on to get through our life. One of those, of course, being gaming and technology and all the rest of it. Nick Cowan is the associate editor of Stuff magazine. He joins us now on Mansfield Today. Nick, nice to chat with you again. There's been a fair amount of negative press around Facebook over the last few months, but I believe you've got some news that Facebook would be quite happy with.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, it's kind of like at last we finally have some good news to talk about Facebook, given the year that they've had, I mean, as soon as I saw this story, I ran after it with both hands. Essentially, what happened is that Facebook has introduced a couple of new items onto its platform. Starting last week, Facebook is going to insist on a new set of regulations for ads around elections and politics in South Africa. I mean, obviously, this is an initiative they're rolling out across many territories. Zambia is another country that they're rolling it out to in the same time as us. But what it basically means is that if anyone who's running an advert about a political figure, political parties, elections or campaigns, or campaigns to promote voting, sort of get out and vote, will have to go through an advertising authorization process. They're going to have to verify their identity with the government-issued photo ID and confirm their location in South Africa or whatever country the ad is running in. So, the likes of Bell Pottinger, if you remember that scandal from a couple of years ago, about the whole state capture thing, in order for them to run ads around that, they'd have to essentially reveal to Facebook who they are and where they are and confirm for it. And not only that, advertisers are now required to provide more information about the people or the organizations responsible for the ad by placing a paid for disclaimer on these ads. In other words, if you see an ad and you go, well, I'm not sure I agree with that, you can actually click on something and see who paid for it. And this, by the way, isn't limited to financial backing. This also includes any person who creates, modifies, publishes, or pauses the ads that reference ads about elections and politics. And last but not least, all these ads will be entered into Facebook's ad library for 7 years.
Is this an attempt by Facebook to try and look at more transparency in its dealings?
It would seem so. I mean, Facebook has come in for a lot of flack in the past about, ads that are sold around, supposed political posts that, in some instances are incredibly inflammatory, and some they can actually damage the liberal democracy process. If you remember, Cambridge Analytica a few years ago scraped an awful lot of data off Facebook and, are largely blamed for pushing the tide towards Donald Trump and pushing the tide towards Brexit in the UK. And it seems to me that Facebook has gone, look, we have a problem. Let's try and address it. To be honest, I think it's the sort of thing that Parliament would probably have asked them about had Facebook attended a couple of parliamentary sessions. But, at least they seem to be doing the best that they can with what they've got at the moment.
But do you see this, Nick, as something that Facebook is going to start continue to roll out in the future? This sort of more transparent, or attempt at a more transparent attitude in the interface between its content providers and the people who are actually just using Facebook, its content users?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. There are reasons to be optimistic. I mean, I think it was about 2 months ago when Pumzile Van Dam, who was then a DAMP, demanded that Facebook face Parliament in order to explain what they're going to be doing about misinformation on their platform. That meeting never happened. But this seems to be something along the lines of, essentially providing more transparency to users. And it's very, very important for us because obviously we've got municipal elections coming up, the COVID-19 pandemic, allowing. Here's hoping, because, I think in the past, Facebook's motto, which is move fast and break things, has worked well for them up until their user base reached a certain size and they started to run afoul of privacy laws like POPIA. And I think they're realizing that a one-size-fits-all doesn't really work, given how many different laws there are in how many different countries. To tell you the truth, I was surprised by this move and gladdened by this move. And I do really hope we see more moves by Facebook towards more transparency like this. So in answer to your question, fingers crossed, here's hoping.
We'll keep up to date on that story with Nick Cowan, Associate Editor of Stuff Magazine. Nick, once again, thank you very much for joining us on a Sunday here on Mansfield.
Thank you for having me.
Cheers. And cheers to you as well. Have a good, restful Sunday. Bye-bye.